Everything is going to be boxing, 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 talking about Kabik promotions, talking about Don's promotions. I mean, all the promotional houses are pitting their horns this time around. Boxing is becoming something else in Ghana. Then definitely we'll also be talking about Jose Mourinho sacking. Of course, he's been booted out of Manchester United. Then definitely we'll run you through the EPL fixtures. Then we have a big guest. Yes, I tell you, exclusive only to HS Television. And his name is Sahnoon Mohammed, of course, Sahnoon Mohammed, I must say. He is actually the president for Ghana Cycling. They just went for the elections and he was emerged the president once again. I mean, undisputed. He'll be running for the next 4 years. We'll be asking him a lot of questions on the elections itself and so many other things. So you can keep your comments coming on 0244 30 64 26. Once again, the number, it doubles as a WhatsApp line. It's 0244 30 64 26. Indeed, it's a Christmas time, so definitely we want to entreat you to nice Christmas tunes. So right about now, let's just go for a quick Christmas tunes. When we are back, we start the show rolling. Remember, this is HS Television, and my name is Sammy Ofusini. We'll be right back.
Mama eh, 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 mama eh. Jam it, jam it, jam it, jam it. So me move, so me move, so me move, so me move. Jam it, jam it, jam it, jam it. So me move, so me move, so me move, so me move.
She say she get kappa, she go fit collector. I give 'em one, I give 'em two. Come and see now she dey cry.
Mama eh, mama eh.
And I'm sure you love those tunes over there. Of course, like I told you earlier, my main guest is in studio, and right about now, I mean, in just about 10 minutes, we'll be talking to him, my main guest, talking about Sahnoon Mohammed. He is actually one of the best and legal brains when it comes to law in Ghana. He also doubles as the president for Ghana Cycling Federation. Of course, they had the election, like I told you just recently. I think that was last week. We'll try and understand everything that ensued, all the other matters. Of course, we'll be trying to do that right here on HS Television. Like I told you, the station is HSTV, like you know, the domain. The show is Ultimate Sports. My name is Samuel Fosun. So let me just run you through the show itself. So we are actually going to begin with boxing, which there's been so many, boxing promotions actually coming up. And it's good for boxing, it's good for Ghana boxing. First, we have the Don's promotions, which you have Patrick Alote, who will actually be fighting Kasongo. That will be interesting. You also have Harrison, Richard Latte, Harrison also fighting as well. Then, of course, if you switch the domain back to Eastern region, there is Azuma Nelson's fight night, where you will actually also have the Braggart, Bukom Banku, also in the midst. He will be fighting in all the way against a Nigerian who is actually a knockout artist. So Banku must be very wary of him as well. Then we'll also be talking about Don's promotions, boxing bouts, where you have the very promising Robert Quay. Yes, the very promising Robert Quay. Then the old man, he's not old man per se, but of course he's been in the boxing scene for a long time, and he's very experienced. Talking about Budai Sai, he will also be in contention as well. So it's a Christmas of boxing. I mean, certainly that's how it's going to be. It's a Christmas of boxing. Right about now, let me just introduce to you, not just my special guest, but I'm going to introduce to you my co-journalist. He is also in studio talking about Daniel David Corte. He's here with me, and of course, he'll be helping me do those analysis on this show. David, many thanks for joining me on the sets.
Thank you.
Yes, and I get to introduce my main man, the one I told you about. He's a legal luminaire, and he's actually also with Ghana Cycling Federation. He's actually the president, I must say. And very much welcome to the studio, big man. Big man. He's actually some TikTok man, so we've decided to make him go down. So yeah, that's just for the jokes anyway. Dave, let's zoom in straight on boxing, and we know that Don's promotions, they actually going to the airport now to welcome their the boxers who will be fighting their boxers. Talking about Robert Quay and Obodai Sai. First of all, give me a rough idea how preparations have gone so far with Don's promotions.
Yes, I think since the owner of Don's promotion, Michael, announced the upcoming bout, there have been series of programs with regards to hyping the fight. And for me, I think they have put in everything in process. Yesterday, I was fortunate to meet Obuda Asai, and I think it's ripe for 26th bout. Same applies to Robert Quay, but for there are two opponents, we are yet to see them. So today we'll get the opportunity to see them when we move to the airport. So I think in terms of preparation, in terms of media hype, in terms of the boxers' readiness for the bout, I think everything is spot on for 26th bout.
Okay, like I told you, this show is much more interactive. So get interactive on my platform on 0244 30 64 26. It doubles as a WhatsApp line, and of course, let's get interactive. As soon as your messages drop, I'll read it out for everybody to hear. That's a promise. The Don's promotion, they actually also signed a promotional deal with Star Times. It seems they are introducing, as it were, pay TV into the Ghanaian boxing fraternity.
Exactly. It will be the first of its kind.
Yes.
It will be the first of its kind, because when you talk about boxing, you talk about pay-per-view, it's only done in US and UK, and for a promotional deal, they'll be having their maiden bouts, and to sign a pay TV for their bout, I think it's a good omen for Ghana boxing. Sometimes it will also project the boxers, and it will get the boxers have enough cash in their pockets,
which is the most important thing.
Exactly. That is the likes of Mayweather, the likes of Manny Pacquiao, the likes of Golovkin. They are rich not because of the kind of persons that they get, but they are rich because of the pay-per-view that they do win. And I think for those promotion, introducing that thing in our game, I think is going to help the boxers a lot in terms of their finances. Okay, so let's talk about Kabik promotions as well, and management. They are also doing fantastically well when it comes to promotion. I think this is their second promotion. I think this is their third.
Their third promotion, of course. So and we know that everything is ready. The boxer is in. Kasongo talking about him. He will be fighting our old man, Patrick Alote, and definitely also have Richard Harrison as well. First of all, I mean, what's your anticipation? Do you see Ghanaians, coming out victorious on the day, or you think that to be a close fight?
For me, on paper, many Ghanaians will be tipping our bosses to beat their counterpart. But because of what happened to Isaac Dogbe 2 weeks ago, in terms of boxing, you can just predict that one boxer is going to win, but a punch can change everything. On paper, Patrick Alote and Richard Harrison looks favorite to win the bout, but they shouldn't be complacent, because in boxing there are a lot of shocks in boxing, and if you don't take it, you'll be laughing at the wrong side of your mouth. An example can be cited with Kato Donkwa and Obuda Asai.
The last time around.
Exactly. So you might be the favorite, but you have to stick to your own. So you have to stick to your strategy. Okay. And make sure that you outwit your opponent. You should eschew any complacency that comes your way. Other than that, you might be laughing at the wrong side of your mouth.
Okay. So let's talk about Asma Nelson's fight tonight, which this time around it's a novelty. They are taking it outside Accra, and they're going to Kowa BTV, to be specific. They are actually in collaboration with Blaze of the Hill, Kwahu Republic. First of all, I mean, look, the fighter that Bukom Banku is going to fight on the day is a crack boxer in Nigeria. He's a knockout artist. When Bukom Banku was asked if he knows much about the boxer, he didn't really say much. How prepared do you think Bukom Banku is towards that particular fight? Because
I mean, honestly, to be frank with you, I don't think Bukom Banku is ready for this bout, because I've seen Bukom Banku for the past 1 month, and I hardly see him training. I don't know whether maybe he's training secretly for this bout.
I wonder, because tonight he's going to TikTok's program, and he's also part of the main attraction. Everywhere. But
irrespective of Bukom Banku, no being active or not training, you cannot take anything away from his boxing qualities. But I think fighting that Nigerian opponent, maybe he might be training secretly, we don't know.
Definitely.
And 26th, maybe Bukom Banku will be coming out with some different things.
Then finally,
let's open and see what is going to do on 26th.
So your messages are coming thick and fast on my line 0244 30 64 26. Indeed, as and when they drop, definitely I'll read them. Derek is actually telling me that he's watching us live. I hope you bring messages as well. So, but let's talk finally on our own Isaac Dogbe. He came to the country just 2 days ago, I must say.
Yes, 2 days ago.
So this time, how prepared is he? We know that he's going to fight on May I think it's in May, right?
Yeah.
May of next year.
Yeah.
Okay. How true is that? Because you broke that story on Boxing Ghana. Quick one.
It was an interview is that granted with the media guys that came to the airport, and he confirmed that his son will return to the ring in the rematch against Navarrete. Because for me, I think the loss that came to Dugbe's way shocked a lot of Ghanaians. Even not Ghanaians, a lot of boxing pundits. Many never expected that Dugbe would lose the bout to Emmanuel Navarrete, but he was given the shock of his life, and now he has gotten the opportunity for a rematch. And let's see what he's going to do, because he said after his bout against Navarrete, he told the ESPN media guys that he narrated Navarrete. His preparation prior to the bout was very poor. Now he has gotten the opportunity for a rematch. He has 5 months or 4 months away for the bout. So
and he's training with Azuma Nelson.
Because when Dugbe came to Ghana for the first time, or prior to his first pro career fight in Ghana, he was training with Azuma Nelson. And for me, Azuma Nelson knows a lot of boxing techniques. So if he's training Isaac Dugbe, it's going to be a good domain, coupled with some of the lessons that will be given to him by his father. So I think getting a rematch against Navarrete is a good news for Isaac Dugbe.
Indeed, it's a good news for Isaac Dugbe. But of course, like I told you earlier, we have a kingpin as well, as far as cycling is concerned. And normally I say that if you don't know these people, definitely you don't know much about you don't know much about Ghana cycling. Sahnoon Mohammed, he is actually the president for Ghana cycling. He's also a legal luminary. I mean, he's one of the best legal brains. I'm sure that you know him. If you don't know, you probably should get his services. By the way, he's in studio with me, and of course, I get to interview him exclusive on HS Television. First of all, many thanks again for joining us on set.
Thank you.
We're very, very grateful. I mean,
invitation.
Your elections, how was it? It just happened last week.
It was great. It was great. But before then, we're talking boxing. I know that today they are doing a program for Ambassador Ray Kwaku for his contribution to sports and
of course, and HSTV is going to be there.
Boxing in general, you know, they are having it today in the afternoon. I understand. Yeah,
that's true.
So kudos to Ghana Boxing Federation for honoring such a great man.
It's true.
It's been a tremendous support. Like we all look at him and then do a little bit to elevate sports in all the various disciplines.
It shows that you are not just a cycling man; you're also a sportsman.
Yes.
Indeed, the fact that you even recollected, we are supposed to be there, but I never even mentioned it.
Yes,
but anyway, first of all, congratulations! I mean, you just won.
Thank you.
You just won the elections.
Yes, you know, I mean, like I always say, cycling is a very small family. You know, we try as much as possible to iron out our differences in an amicable fashion, and I believe that's what worked. And we had a successful congress in Tamale, and I thank all of you for the support, especially the sports journalists who've been calling and trying to find out what was happening in the light of our, you know, pending litigations. And
We'll come to that.
Yeah, right.
We'll definitely come to that. But the election itself, was it that smooth?
So it was smooth without any problems, you know, because it was something that was agreed upon from the beginning. So we're not expecting any trouble as it is, you know. So
people say it's because you are a legal mind. That's how come you're able to bring all those litigations into a halt, as it were. Tell me about it. How were you able to bring all those litigations and all those issues?
Well, you know, as you know, people, you know, obviously were, I mean, some members were aggrieved about happenings, you know, and they chose the litigation channel. And you know, litigation doesn't help anyone. I'm a lawyer, but I know that, you know, litigation is about time and money at the end of the day. But like I said, we are a small family, and I think that our constitution makes room for amicable resolution of issues, you know, so that's what we engaged. And fortunately, we have the vice president of the UCI coming down because he treasures Ghana so much that he didn't want to see this litigation getting out of hand. So he sat us all down, and we spoke about it, and we sort of sorted everything out and then went ahead to have our Congress.
First of all, congratulations for solving those issues, because we thought it was going to put your elections on hold, but you were able to do that.
Yes.
But not to take you back memory lane, what actually brought about those litigations?
Well, there were issues that they raised, which of course we considered maybe legitimate, but it's just the avenue for engaging in resolving the problem. That was the issue. You know, I mean, in the light of all that, we were able to, you know, come up with some proposals towards amendment of our constitution. You know, the challenge really.
Are they part of the executive body?
Yes, yes. I mean, they are members. You know, I mean,
Okay.
the cycling federation is made up of clubs.
Okay.
Okay, and the club that formed the membership, and there were members of some clubs in Greater Accra region that were raising those issues.
Okay.
I mean, the primary one was about regional representation. You know, and then but our constitution, though, if you look at the executive, it's sort of balanced, so that people from all regions are part of the executive committee, but they want to see some regional representation in the committee, the executive committee, which the constitution, of course, didn't provide for. So now the recommendation is to get the clubs in the various regions, the 10 regions, to elect their regional representatives to form part of, not executive, but a management committee. So we are broadening it with these amendments. So I'm hoping that, you know, once we agree on it, we take it for
It's interesting.
approval.
One may ask, I mean, how, when you guys are like, when it happens within, how do you forget about the whole thing and just foster ahead? I mean, how are you guys, you work together? How you going to work together? I mean, if
Well, I mean, like I said, you know, I mean, it's a job at
we agree
hand.
to disagree.
Yeah, we agree to disagree, but it's cycling that is of primary importance, you know. So we look at it from that angle, you know, let the bygones be bygones. Out of that, something good has come out, you know. So if you're going to pick people on issues, I mean, which I consider, you know, not in the interest of cycling to be fighting. So we look at the issue, resolve it, and then put it behind us, and then forge forward. You know, that is what we are looking at. And, you know, you see, and it's good that it has happened because, you know, we have issues about, you know, having proper registration of our members. You know, the old things, people just get up and do things anyhow. I have a club, you know, without any following any legal regime. You don't just get up and then form a club and then expect it to be automatically accepted into the membership, you know. So the recommendation is that every single club have to go through some registration. You can go to the company's registry, establish yourself as a limited, because business, outside is cycling is business, big business. So you establish properly, produce your registration document, and then your constitution, list of your executives and your cyclists. You bring it to the federation. We make the necessary recommendation to Congress, because Congress that approves affiliation. So once you make those recommendations to Congress and they accept it, they become a member. And then again, this time around, members also have to learn to contribute financially towards the running of the federation. You know, we can't be affiliated to a body without paying affiliation fees. You know,
Let me ask this. You know, people say the Cycling Federation, and I'm told that you're a big man, I'm told that you're a very rich man. So who funded the elections? Was it from your own pockets? Because I'm told that the Cycling Federation, you guys, you really have what it takes.
So let me straighten the record. I'm not a very rich person. You know,
Okay.
I just do.
You see,
do.
I'm not a very rich person.
Yes.
Emphasize on very.
I'm not very rich, but I'm
He's a
just
rich man.
managing it.
He's a rich
I'm just managing it. I mean, sometimes. I mean, this running the federation largely comes from our own resources. You
Of
know,
course, you do.
as you know, the state doesn't really, you know, give us much.
Wow.
You know, for in terms of our promotion and development. Although by law, you know, they are supposed to be doing that regularly.
You're a legal man. You should be
know,
taxing
yeah,
the government.
you know.
I mean, this
So-
should
so-
be what? Citizens, not spectators.
Yeah, we are not.
So,
we have
expect to
always
follow the
been
footsteps.
citizens and not spectators, and then, these my views have been articulated so many times, even at the our own level, at the GOC level, and you know, even National Sports Authority. We raise these issues. You know, we have countless meetings with ministers that come and go, but the core issue still remains:
It's still a football.
sponsorship. Yeah, I wish you had a bicycle here, not a football. I like football, you know.
I get
They have
you.
their own problems,
I get
but
the
you know, we're also there to support. You know, like I always say, you know, we are the constituents of the when it comes to sports. You know, there's a various disciplines that make it possible for the establishment of the sports ministry and the National Sports Authority. So if you're not getting the necessary resources to support us, then you ask yourself, what is the business of the ministry? what is the business of the National Sports Authority? They are not there for football alone.
Yeah, football ministry. Eh?
Yeah, they are
First
not
tell me
there
about
they are
it.
for all of us until we can come up with a formula that we all the various disciplines can have, some access to funding. Because the sponsorship is very little to come.
That's true.
You ask yourself, and it runs through
Virtually all the sports.
all the federations, all the disciplines, even including football. But football, as it is, has a large sort of support from the state. That's why you hear more about football.
I'll come to that in a bit, but of course, like I told you earlier, this show is much more interactive, and of course, my guest today, exclusive, is the president for Ghana Cycling Federation, talking about Sahnoon Mohammed. He's a lawyer by profession. You know him, definitely you know him. So keep your message coming on 0244 30 64 26. Your messages are coming in, though. I'll try and read them in a bounce. Let me just run you through this so that you can also use that one you can also make your case as well. Of course, you have Arsenal will be playing against Burnley. You have Bournemouth will be playing against Brighton and Hove Albion. You also have Chelsea pitting their home horns against Leicester City. Middlesbrough will welcome Southampton. Manchester City will play against Crystal Palace. Newcastle United will play against Fulham. You have West Ham playing against Watford. Then today, the last match on the day will be Cardiff, who will be entertaining the defunct Manchester United. Forgive me, I'm just being mischievous. Jose Mourinho has been voted out of Manchester United after all the hippie-jibbies that surrounded him and his so-called players. Indeed, we wait to see how things will pan out after he's been voted. Anyway, time will tell, like they say. But Mr. Sahnoon Mohammed is still here with us. I'll be reading your messages. I'll try and read them on a bounce, so just keep them coming on 0244 30 64 26. And of course, I'll go to my subsequent questions.
Now, on football, you see, it's interesting that you're making these announcements. They're all foreign, events.
That's true.
What is happening to football in Ghana?
We'll talk about Kotoko.
In the old days, people weekends, people just look up to going to the stadium to watch Ghanaian footballers play. What is happening?
So it's true. It's true because we'll talk a bit on Kotoko facing Caribbean Sharks. The first leg ended 0-0, and the return match is actually today. So we'll just glance through in a bit. So you can also keep your message coming on that one as well. But of course, we know that now the so-called marketing gimmicks have virtually turned the nation into the EPL stuff, and that's what's making the money. Though we should do something about it, because I think that it's not good for our economy. The football economy is that small, and I'm sure that those handlers, those ministers, if really they are football ministers, then they really have to come up with a good plan to make sure that they cash in on that, and footballers also get what they want. But let's not to stray away from our topic itself. Yes, I'm told that there were some amendments to your constitution. What were the most, somebody will say, projected ones? Which ones will you offhand tell me?
Yes, I hinted on it earlier on. Now we have what is called an executive committee made of the president, the vice president, the treasurer, the secretary general, and 3 other executive members. The constitutional amendment, the proposal on board is to expand it. Instead of an executive committee, we're going to have in place a management committee, which is going to comprise regional representatives, the 10 regions, who are going to be part of the management committee. And what is going to happen is that it is the clubs that are going to elect that regional representative to come on to the management committee, so that we have a balance, a regional balance at the end of the day. And we're doing this also looking at the fact that, these regions should be active. You understand what I'm saying? If they are active, they have their clubs, performing. Of course, it will be visible that that cycling is going on in all the regions. So that is the key one: the expansion, and then renaming of the management as management committee, having 10 regional representatives, and we have a president, and then 3 other members. And then also we're looking at the athletes involved in the sport, the cyclists. You also have a representative. And we're looking at also co-opting people in business, and they don't really have to go through a process. We invite them to come in, maybe for sponsorship, for advice, and all that. So you're going to have a very expanded, management committee, and then we're looking at it from that angle to see how it will help us in developing the sports.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So my first viewer question to you is, he says there is a rumor that you'll be running for JOC president. How true is that?
I'm sure we'll cross the bridge when we get there.
Anytime somebody tells you,
We'll cross the bridge when we get there. It's early days
some
yet.
iota of truth in that.
There's early days yet.
Okay.
You know, I mean, yeah. I've been involved with the GOC from way back.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we've been part of the, you know, people championing the autonomy of the various federations that they are enjoying now. But they seem to forget how it started. You know, it got a point that, you know, the IOC even banned Ghana for, you know, interference in our activities. You remember some years back. But, you know, it's all that is behind us. Now we have our autonomy. And, you know, what has happened is a complementary, you know, support from the authorities. That's what we need.
Okay, so everyone wants to know whether you are still part of the UCI.
Yes, and they are disciplinary arbitrary committee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So for how long have you been with
this is the second time I've been appointed.
Oh, okay. So you've been in and out of sports, as it
were.
were.
We've been in from 2008. That's when I got involved. I mean, I got involved with cycling, I think, 2005.
Wow.
And, you know, at the time, there was nothing really. So we put our heads together, get ourselves a statute and all that.
Were you the one that secured the cowbell deal? Was it under your...
Yeah, we did a few cowbells,
Wow.
cowbell deals, and then we are looking at...
What's happening with cowbell? I mean, like...
well, I'm sure they also have their own internal challenges and, you know, there's pressure on sponsors and all that. But we are talking now. I hope soon we'll be able to, you know, start this cowbell program.
Okay.
So.
Now, your new executives, somebody will ask, what should we be expecting from them? Because most of them went uncontested, as it were.
Yeah.
So what is new this time around? Like, what is the new phase of cycling?
Yeah, the new phase of cycling, as I intimated earlier, you see, we've heard the concerns. We're expanding the management base, bringing in people who not necessarily are into cycling, but because of what they have, they can come on board and advise and then support us, you know, because really it takes money to run programs, you know. And the new executives, yes, most of them are run uncontested. Like I said, it's a small family. It's not like a big, you know, cycling family, you know. And then if the membership think that you're doing a good job and they, you know, endorse you to run again, I mean, I think it's complimentary.
Just on a lighter note, when are you demoting the head of sports of HS Television? from your
demoting?
Yes.
Oh well, I think he's doing a good job.
When is he going to be unseated?
No, I mean, it's
he's doing a fantastic job.
It's a democracy. If the membership think that you know, his time is up and he has to give the space for another person to, you know, do his job, why not?
Okay, so I'll read some of the messages in the box. This one is, I'm Solomon from Ablekuma. Today, Man City is winning by 4-0. I don't know about that because Liverpool fans will definitely not be happy with you on that one. Of course, you can also keep your message coming on 0244 30 64 26. As and when it drops, definitely I will equally also do that. Okay, so Dave, you've been listening to the conversation, and I'm sure that you've virtually created your own kind of image, or probably your own questions, as it were. Do you have a question for the main president here?
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay.
It has to do with the cycling in general. I'm not going to talk about the election that you had, but how Ghanaians will come to love the sports cycling. Because sometimes if you are behind your television, you'll be watching Tour de France, you might see a lot of cyclists from different countries, but you hardly see a cyclist from Ghana.
Yeah,
we have Tour de Ghana,
we have our
the cowbell one,
but
I'm talking about the international one. When are we going to see a Ghanaian cyclist moving to the international world to compete with the top guys out there?
Like you see, you know, if you watch Tour de France, you know, it's big clubs. You look at Sky and all that, you know, and it takes a lot of resources, you know, to get the clubs going, you know, running into millions of dollars, you know, to get them going and then participate in these events, you know. I mean, nothing stops Sky from coming to Ghana to pick up one cyclist which they think that is good for their club, and then put him through their training and all that to perform, You know, it's not like a national representation. It is the individual cyclist. If it's good, a good material for the clubs, they will like football. They pick you up and then you perform. You know, so yes, we're looking at all these options. But what it is that we need to be, you know, deeply, you know, engage in these sort of activities, you know, to attract that attention. You know, and all that needs what? Money. Money. We are not giving up, but you know, we just have to keep moving on until.
Okay, so if anyone wants to know whether you think paracycling is much more, we should rather concentrate on paracycling because it will fetch us more money and more medal as against the normal mainstream cycling.
Yeah, more money. It's questionable, but more medals, yes. You know,
more medals.
Yes, we also into paracycling. You know, because that's what it is. Not able-bodied cyclists and then para athletes. Yeah, and then the records that we have so far.
We've already qualified.
Yes. I mean, you know, the tandem for one of them, but he has to continue participating in international events to keep that level. You know, so if he has a program to attend and there is no money for him to attend, it will bring him down, isn't it? So these are places where the ministry should come in. When we go to them with our budget for a particular, you know, trade, you know, qualification for Tokyo 2020, they should be forthcoming with the resources to enable us, you know, get the athlete to go. So yeah, we are interested in paracycling. It's likely they can get us more medals quickly than able-bodied cyclists.
You know, I really didn't want to go into those issues, but somebody is actually asking me to ask you that you're closer to the GOC, and of course you're also part of the previous, as it were, events that happened in Australia. You know, I know that there are certain semantics here and there, and I really didn't want to go into it. But what is the preparations now towards the Tokyo 2020? Because we know that just recently, I think just about 2 days ago, Nuno Mensah signed a contract with the Japanese embassy, where the Ghana village has been secured. And what's the latest when it comes to Tokyo 2020?
Well, I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not involved in Tokyo 2020.
Wow.
So I can.
Of course, you're seeing images on your screens, some of our cyclists.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Outmoded parts. That's interesting in a way. We'll talk about that if you want to talk about.
We don't want to talk about this one. We don't want to talk about this one because even the interview they granted was so bad for Ghana. Was just bad for brand Ghana. But I'm sure that going forward, we'll learn from some of these things.
But you see, it's important that we talk about it. Now you're airing it. People, you know, I've seen only one side of the story.
So let's talk about it.
You know, what happened, as you're showing, is an interview that these Australian journalists came to conduct at the place, you know, and we took issue about the way they presented it, which was obnoxious. So I, as chef de mission, wrote to them, raising issues about what they're doing. They came and apologized for their conduct. You know, the cyclists, you know, they sort of, you can see this thing is all, you know, sort of edited in a way that, you know, it was all edited. It wasn't flowing like it happened, you know, because they spoke to me first before even the cyclists. And then the cyclist who was saying he's having outmoded parts, that, you know, for due respect to him, didn't even understand the word outmoded. You know, so he also apologized, you know, for using such words. Because, yes, we had good bicycles that we use for international competitions. There are two sets. One that we bought for Scotland and one that was even given to us by the UCI, which we carried to Australia. You know, so really, you know, it was really very, I mean, I sometimes when I hear about Australia, I just laugh because what was carried across to Ghanaians wasn't really what was on the ground.
It was like a preconceived something.
Yeah, it wasn't, it was completely unnecessary, you know. I mean, my name came up, that been recalled by the president and all that, but at the end of the day, you go into it, you see that there was nothing to it really, if you ask me. As a result of that, you know, the GOC itself has set up a committee and they are going into it, they are yet to come up with their report, you know, but most of the things that were said were inaccurate.
Indeed.
You know,
of course, you're hearing from the man
yeah.
yourself. Of course, many of you are asking me questions based on that. I'll try and do that because I didn't want to talk about it, but the man himself wants to talk about it.
I'm ready to.
But are you aware there is an injunction on athletics? And what's your opinion?
Well, you know, those are some of the issues that I think people in sports should understand. You know, sport is about what? Friendship and, you know, camaraderie and all that. You know, we're not there to litigate. Just like a football match, you go and watch a football match, your team loses, that is it. You know, you don't escalate it into another level. But I mean, going to court and all that doesn't help the federations. That's my personal view. And then, you know, if you follow the structures well, if you look at the GOC constitution, it makes provision. We are all members of the GOC, you know, for crying out loud. We are all members of the GOC. And I think that if a federation, I mean, has internal issues that they cannot, you know, resolve, I think then they can escalate it to that level of the GOC, you know, disciplinary body for, you know, for it to adjudicate on the matter and then settle it. If we are not happy, we take it to CAS. That is the way it is structured. Because if you go to court, you can be in court for God knows how long. And it is the federation that is going to suffer at the end of it. If the litigation is not resolved as quickly as possible, and typical of you know, litigation in Ghana, it can drag on for 2 years. And meanwhile, you're not going to have your Congress. You know, you're not going to have it because of courts, you know, litigations. Or sometimes not even an injunction. The mere fact that an injunction has been filed prevents you from doing anything. Because if you go ahead and conduct the Congress, you'll be in contempt of court.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Again, you're looking at a situation where you've been, you know, they're asking for some restraining orders. So far as that matter is still pending, it sort of, you know, puts a shackle in the operations. But my advice is that, look, let's exhaust those internal mechanisms which have to be in their statutes. That's the first level of, you know, litigation. There's a body in your federation which deals with all issues. If you're not happy, you can escalate it to another level within the sports fraternity, rather than, you know, going to court. But, you know, let's see how it pans out. But maybe you're listening, you know, it's a matter of just sitting down, coming to some understanding, and then moving on with the sports. Litigation, at the end of the day, doesn't help anyone.
Indeed, coming from a lawyer, you should know that he knows what he's talking about. If you just plug onto the domain, indeed, this is Ultimate Sports on HS Television. My name is Samuel Hussein. Of course, my guest today is actually Sahnoon Mohammed. He is the president for Ghana Cycling Federation. He also doubles as a lawyer as well. And somebody is asking that for you to explain to us that is it really true that in Australia more people, as it were taking more than journalists, and the people that branded themselves as journalists were actually not journalists? How true was that?
Yeah, again, it's another level of confusion.
Okay.
You know, like I said, I was fingered in this whole thing.
Yeah.
I got back from Australia, met the police, explained to them the procedures.
Okay.
Because, I mean, they had some complaint coming from the presidency about what was going on. They were supposed to investigate. So I was there, gave them the rundown on our procedures, and as I'm speaking to you, I understand there's a report. I paid for a report from the police to see exactly what conclusions they arrived and forwarded to the president. I'm yet to get a copy. Although I paid for it, they've been, you know, tossing me. I haven't seen the copy of the report. But again, like I said, there was some confusion. You need to understand the procedures that journalists engage to go to Australia and the procedures that athletes and officials who engage to go to Australia. You know, if you understand the dichotomy, then you don't have a problem. But if you mix it up and say, well, GOC has, taken some names of journalists for visas and all that, that is absolutely not true. They have their own, you know, accreditation system which they engage. And it's the same journalists who are shouting louder than everyone who messed up that system and created a problem. The athletes that the states agreed to take to Australia went to Australia without any problem. None of the approved list of athletes and officials had any immigration problem. You understand? So if you understand these things, then of course, you know the questions to ask. And the people to ask those questions were the journalists, those who fielded all those people that created problem in Australia.
So in actual fact, it was actually the journals
Yeah.
that created the whole confusion.
They created the confusion and they shouted louder than everyone else.
So interesting.
It
David,
means,
would you want to?
it means those journals violated the immigration law by taking
Exactly.
people who were
Not journalists.
Interesting.
They ask you the president of Ghana, you're GOC, and you are mentioning the president of the republic.
and it means
And that tells you that tells you a lot that this person has a lot of questions to answer, and that's the basis for which most of them were detained. And I personally took interest in it, engaged the immigration authorities, but they have their own rules that they are not going to disclose whoever they have arrested, you know, because of their own, you know, right issues in Australia. They will never disclose who they arrested. Got the High Commissioner involved in it. Even then, they couldn't, you know, they were not forthcoming with information. I don't know if the Ghana police were able to retrieve any information from them, because I doubt if they did. So the question is, whoever was arrested and came back to Ghana was the person you should be asking questions. How did he get on a list if he's not a journalist? And then deal with the people. And the whole thing has been spread wrongly, and then, you know, finger pointing at the GOC, we did very little in terms of accreditation of journalists.
You see,
But-
that's what normally we say, that who watches the watchman? I mean, the journals, they came back, they did their own kind of things, and they came back obviously trying to point fingers at the people at the helm of affairs, because bottom line, I mean, look, it's the leader that they will blame, definitely.
Yeah.
But then they did their own things. But can you confirm to me that all the people that are arrested, they've been released or probably deported back to Ghana?
Well, they will detain you, and then the next available flight, they will just, you know, put you in and then bring you down.
How bad was it for Ghana's image out there?
Well, to be honest with you, it did not affect the athletes in that sense, because we also hear all this good, but we're all in the village. None of them was affected, so they only was focused on why they were in Australia, you know. But yes, it's bad image when the story is not being told correctly, and it's strange that, you know, journalists were going all over the place and file comments all over, and not a single one. I'm the man in charge in Australia. Not a single one called me to find out my version of the story.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then you come back, and then, you know, I've dealt with a few of them who finally, in the end, apologized anyway, and then retracted their stories.
Let me ask this. With our contribution itself in the games, would you say that this whole brouhaha sort of affected our winning laurels? Because at the end of the day, we only got one laurel.
Well, you know, there are deep issues. You know,
Okay.
I mean, at least, you know, I don't blame them. These are an opportunity for them to make some little bread from the state. You know, so if you make a promise to them, make sure that you deliver. You know, I mean, most often the state comes in at the end of it. You know, they're not there from the beginning. You know, there are training that they have to undergo. There are competitions that you have to attend. So if you're not forthcoming with sponsorship money and all that, you know, don't expect much from the athletes. Because it's a whole program. You know, when you're talking 2020, Japanese started, you know, working on 2020 maybe 4 or 5 years, because they know they're going to host. You invest in the athletes, you provide the structures, let them train. Then you will get your medals.
I totally agree with you with that, on that, because I know that at a point the Japanese were actually chasing us to sign an MOU. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
These are people that know what they're about, and even where you're going to lodge, they want you to sign. That shows how serious they are.
It's all about planning.
Interesting.
It's all about planning and
But let me ask
providing
you,
the sources.
with this, what can we learn from the whole episode, the whole debacle with Australia? What can we learn going forward into Japan Tokyo 2020? What can we learn from it?
Simple, very simple. Follow procedures, follow regulations, provide the necessary resources for the athletes. From the beginning, we know we are going to Tokyo 2020. We are now in 2018. 2019 is just a couple of days. What program is in place? Those are the questions that we should be asking the Sports Ministry and the National Sports Authority.
Okay, so Akosia is saying that he admires you, but he wants to know your mind on standing for the GOC presidency. I guess people know much about this thing than I do.
Anyway, you know, like I said, you know,
when is the GOC next elections?
I think the last one we had was 2016. what?
2017.
2017. It was supposed to be run every 4 years.
Okay.
2021.
Yeah,
Okay, so
2021,
2021.
22. Yes, thereabout.
Okay.
So
Not that far
early,
away though.
early days yet. We'll cross the bridge when we get there. But what it is, you know, it's very important. We.
But she wants you to confirm if you harbor that ambition, which is not bad coming from a lady.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good to have ladies.
Oh, we all
sports.
have all sort of ambitions in our heads. But the point is this, you know, you only engage when the time is up.
That's true. That's indeed very, very true. David, I'll give you the opportunity. Somebody's asking me to give them the fixture list for the Serie A. So I'll give you the opportunity to ask your question as I get it in here and just read it out. Yes. A question to Sahnoon.
Mr. Shano, still on the Australian debacle. Though you were the chef de mission, in terms of the media side, your authorities don't
go to that level. I mean, like
don't
you have
go
your
to that level,
limitation.
but because you are the chef de mission, you overtake oversight responsibility of everything. But many other people were also saying that the accreditation that they got was formalized by the GOC, and before they moved to Australia, they had the accreditation being processed by the GOC. So it seems like there's a conflicting statement here, blaming media guys for the debacle in Australia. Same other way, people were also blaming GOC, saying that
For the same thing.
for the formalization of the accreditation, it was done by the GOC.
Now, you see, what it is again, it is also very inaccurate in that sense. GOC does not formalize or approve accreditation for journalists or athletes. The Australians themselves have a system. You know, they try to introduce the e-accreditation system. It's fought with all its problems too.
So you can do that without passing the GOC, passing through the GOC.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. There are two levels: the journalist level and the athletes level. The athletes level is what GOC deals with. You know, we in GOC take the disciplines that are going to participate in the game. You know, they feed us with the information that I'm fielding so many. If it's cycling, these are my cyclists, these are my officials. So you produce their particulars to the GOC, and the accreditation officer captures this information and takes it to the Australian game organizers. You know, so we have what we call the long list. Because like I said, it's all about planning. They started doing this even before Ben Nuno Mensah became president. So Professor Dodu's term is when they even started doing these things. As if you don't plan ahead, you end up with confusion. But that is how it is. You feed the disciplines, feed the GOC with information, and then they take it.
That's
to
true, because the GOC can't decide. They don't even know them, so they will not be able to.
So, but this is there's some weakness there. But you know, what it is that the recommendation. I mean, I made some recommendation that look, the GOC itself need to have a database of all disciplines participating in sports, who are the executives, their constitution and all that, so that in future if you say bring me your long list and I compare it to what we have in our system, I can raise questions. You know, so these are matters that we're going to resolve going forward. But again, it is the accreditation people in Australia that, you know, will approve your accreditation if you qualify based on their criteria. You know, and I said that's also fraught with some problem. But at the end of the day, what happened was, you know, because you submitted a long list, the accreditation was granted to everyone in a long list. But the catch was that you can only come to Australia when approved by the GOC. So the GOC approval came for 109 persons. And the warning was that if you are not approved, don't even attempt to go in. You get, so people assume that because they got the approval, they can go. But then we at the International Games Committee level, because the Games Committee is the National Sports Authority, the Ministry of Sports, and the GOC, we approved 109, and that is the list that I carried to Australia and notified them that if you're not on this list, they should allow you to come.
Okay, so Natalie is saying that great explanation by you, and is asking why for a long time you've not been talking about this thing, because the explanations are very sound. Okay.
This is an opportunity. This is the first opportunity.
Okay, so you are hearing this here on
This is the first opportunity I had to discuss
you
it.
actually
But my views have been articulated at various platforms anyway, not in this fashion though.
Oh, okay. 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 So let me just run you through what you asked me previously, and I'll do that in jiffy. And okay, so it's Lazio will be playing against Cagliari. You also have AC Milan playing against Fiorentina. Empoli will play against Sampdoria. You also have Genoa pitting their hosts against Atalanta. Elsewhere, Napoli will entertain Spa. Sassuolo will play against Torino. You also have Udinese pitting their hosts against Frosinone. Chievo Verona will play against Internazionale Milano. Parma will welcome Bologna. And then finally, you have Juventus playing against Roma. So that will be a very, very interesting game to watch as far as that is concerned. Let me just run you through the Spanish La Liga. It's Real Betis will be playing against Eibar. Real Madrid will be playing against RCD Espanyol. You also have Barcelona playing against Celta de Vigo. It's a cracker, trust me. They are their nemesis when it comes to football. Of course, Atletico Bilbao will also playing against Real Valladolid as well. So I've given it to you, Titus. But let me once again ask you this. You've been in cycling for practically a long time. People say that cycling is a very expensive sport. What do you say to that, and what can we do about it?
It is, you know, I mean, cycling is not for, you know, football. You can only buy this and get the boys to play. But to buy cycling equipment, a good one, you're looking at the region of, for you know, a minimum amount of maybe $2,500 for a bicycle. You're not talking only about a bicycle, you're talking about the kitting and all that. You know, so it is really, in that sense, an expensive sport. That's why people have to take it seriously.
How much is a bike worth? Because I'm told it's very expensive.
That's what's the minimum.
It's not just the normal bike.
It depends, you know. Yeah, you're not a normal bike.
Okay.
Racing bike. We have different, you know, departments in cycling. We have the BMS, we have mountain biking, we have the tandem, as it is, the track cycling and all that. You know, but we do a lot of road cycling and you know, track cycling. And of course, if you go around, you see, I mean, those clubs, we ride mountain bikes. I started with mountain biking. I still ride from time to time, you know. So yeah, the equipment is even from, you know, I mean, I'm not, you know, from a non-professional point. If you want a good bike, you can pay as, you know, as much as maybe even $2,500 for a good bike. You can get as cheap as 100.
Nana is asking if we can ever get to the Tour de France.
Why not?
Optimistic?
Yeah, we can. Why not?
Okay.
It's a matter of, you know, training, getting the resources. Yeah, you can get as many, you know, I mean, I don't want to mention the name, but they're now, you know, I mean, they're good cyclists, you know. They started the small way, but the necessary training and sponsorship, you know, it can take you with everything that you do.
Finally, your final words to our viewers out
there.
there.
Viewers, I mean, my only, you know, words is that, you know, I would like to see more, you know, activity coming from the sports authorities to support the various disciplines. If they want us to get results, they should start early. Give us the resources.
I guess this will crown it. So Solomon is saying that I like this man. I think he's very good in his articulation. I support him to go for the GOC presidency. Don't mean I won't be happy with you, my brother.
Thank you. We'll cross it when we get there.
Okay, I think that he should do more for cycling too as well. Great explanations. Okay, so Solomon, I'm sure that he's much grateful to you. Of course, you are just running up for me quickly. Have you finished on the wrap up?
Yeah, that's my message to the Ghanaians, you know, and I wish them a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Indeed. David, you give me your final words and we wrap up and get out of the studio. There's something people do not know. You know, I get people asking me, showing interest in boxing, and every now and then I get messages, I mean, so many various platforms. But what I can tell you is that if really, I only talk about people that I know who are tried and tested. Okay, so if you are that interested, you don't need to even come through me. Just go to Jamestown, say you're looking for Carl Lawrence local, okay, a brown shim. He's a fantastic guy. He's that good. I get a lot of your messages. Some of them I'm not able to reply. So just go there, say Samuel Fosini said, you should come to them. Come to him, as it were. So, David, yes, your final words.
My final words is I want to wish cherished viewers Merry Christmas. And December 24th, there's going to be a boxing bout at the Bukom Boxing Arena. 2 days after, another bout at the Bukom Boxing Arena. So it's going to be a pack of boxing events this festive season.
So, Derek, I'll read your message. He says, our sports journalists need to learn a lot about what the GOC does. This continuous armchair journalists don't help. That's a big point, Derek, anyway. But anyway, it's well noted. Wow, this is where we draw down the curtains. But happy birthday to Christabel Ampo. For my producer is breathing down on my neck. I'm sure that if I'd forgotten, it would have been something else. But many thanks to the full complement of the production team led by my main man, Nate. He held me down big time. So we meet same time next week. My name has been Samuel Foswini. Many thanks to Dennis Moore as well. We are back same time next week. Be good. Of course, have a Merry Christmas. Bye for now.